Welcome once again to Sonic Safety with Sam Watts. That's me, Sam Watts. And this is a transportation podcast where we talk about safety and trucking and everything that goes with it. If you are listening on one of the places that you can listen to, thank you very much. Please, if you would, rate the show. That helps people find the show. Please rate it good, I suppose. Don't really want a lot of bad ratings. So if you don't like the show, just don't rate it at all. If you are watching on the YouTube machine, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy my wonderful face. Make sure to give it a thumbs up. Give it a like there. That's what the kids say these days. And feel free to share it. Okay, that's a great way to help grow the show. Is sharing the content that I put out here for Sonic Safety. Hey, real quick too, before we get started, huge shout out to Ewing Industrial and Safety. EwingSafety.com is their website. Feel free to go to them. They've got everything you need when it comes to safety. I mean, it's a really well-named company, but if you need anything when it comes to PPE stuff, any tools, bolts, chains, cords, anything, you name it, they've got it. If they don't have it, you don't need it, basically. So make sure to visit them, EwingSafety.com, or visit them at their store in Morris, Illinois. So moving on, the ATRI, you ever heard of them? I have. Maybe you have too. If not, they are the American Transportation Research Institute, ATRI. It's basically a bunch of people in the trucking industry that come together and research the trucking company, or the trucking industry, I should say, not necessarily a trucking company. But the ATRI puts out a ton of research. If you hear something, along the lines of studies have shown, or, research shows, that's probably done by the ATRI when it comes to the trucking industry. Either them or the Department of Transportation, both of them kind of do their own research. But the ATRI has put out their list of the top 10 trucking industry concerns for 2024. They always do it at the end of the year, so we don't know what the top concerns are yet for 2025, but you can basically take these concerns from 2024 and assume that they're going to probably carry over into 2025, because in reality, I've seen a couple of these lists here now, and not much changes, to be perfectly frank with you. The concerns that are on for 2024 will most likely be there for 2025. Now, eventually, the concerns will be met, because the concerns that are on here have to be met, to be perfectly honest with you, or the trucking industry doesn't get to keep going. So the reason that I wanted to talk about this for a couple minutes today was because I kind of found it interesting that out of the top 10, you've got maybe, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the top 10 are pretty much directly related to safety issues. Now, I could probably make an argument for a couple more being related to safety, but for the sake of time, we're just going to say 4 out of the 10. So 40%, I'm pretty good with math when it comes to that. 40% of the issues that the trucking industry is concerned about have to do with safety. But we're going to go through all 10 because they're interesting, and I think you'll find it enlightening what we're going to have to say here. But like I said, 4 of the top 10. So safety and compliance is a concern amongst trucking companies here in 2024 and going into 2025. There are issues that come up with safety and compliance that I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that if you ignore safety and compliance, or you don't understand safety and compliance, and you are unsure of what to do, it can really hurt you. Okay. That's where guys like me come in, where, I'll come into your company and help you run your safety and compliance. I don't just come in there and tell you what to do. I actually do it for you. And there's a couple of us out there like that, because we take safety and compliance very seriously because it deserves to be taken very seriously. I mean, there's really that's why I've pretty much dedicated my professional career to transportation safety and transportation compliance. Make sense? So let's take a look here at the top 10 trucking industry concerns for 2024 that we can pretty much assume will carry into 2025. The number one concern amongst trucking companies is the economy, okay? Economic uncertainty and market volatility continue to challenge fleet operators' ability to maintain stable operations and plan for future growth. This has been a concern for a couple of years now. I've been in trucking for 25 years. The thing when it comes to trucking is that there are ebbs and flows to it. Okay, there's good times and then there's bad times. I think, and now I don't have the data in front of me, but I think that this latest trucking recession that we are in right now is probably one of the worst that we have seen since I've been in it. Usually, you dip down, but then you kind of come back up, but then you dip down. I mean, that's just how trucking works. But it seems like we have been in a freight recession for a while now. I mean, it's even gotten to the point where we're basically just trying to will ourselves out of this recession. At the beginning of the year, there was a couple of people out there saying that we think the freight recession is over, and people were excited about that, happy, and like, yeah, let's go, let's do this. And then nothing happened. Okay. It just kind of stayed the same. And in I want to say it was right around 2021, maybe 2022, when this last recession really hit hard. And the big piece that I saw was that the rates went down. Okay, that's what happens. Rates go down, demand goes down. That's how this happens. It's all supply and demand. But I think the piece that really hit this freight recession extremely hard from what I saw when I was working with carrier, is that diesel prices shot up. That was a big thing. I mean, we had it where that the rates were low, but the diesel price, like the expense of running a trucking company, was extremely high. And I think that's what kind of really has sustained this recession, is that the diesel prices have gone down a little bit, but it really hasn't. We haven't seen that recovery because so much just rocketed up to the top as far as expenses. We got diesel expense is still high. I mean, it still costs a lot of money to get diesel. Insurance is a huge deal now. There's a lot of insurance costs out there, and even insurance companies that just aren't even writing insurance anymore. But the economic piece of trucking is still a big concern amongst drivers and amongst carriers and owners. They really don't feel safe and secure in making plans for the future because they don't know what it's going to look like yet. So, number one is the economics of trucking. That's the big concern, which I understand why that's number one. I mean, it's literally, we're going to have carriers out there. I mean, trucking isn't going to go away. Transportation's not going to go away. We keep buying stuff. We need to move stuff. Transportation will always be there. But how long are the rates going to stay low? How long is the diesel going to stay high? Are we at the new norm for diesel now? Is this what the prices are? I mean, there's just still a lot of questions out there when it comes to the economics of transportation. And that is why it is number one on there. Not really much to do with safety, but we'll get there. All right, number two, this one kind of does. Lawsuit abuse reform. Okay, that's what a big deal is. The rising tide of nuclear verdicts and predatory litigation practices threatens carriers' financial stability and drives up operational costs across the country. Remember how I was just talking about insurance rates? This is directly relating to insurance rates. You get some minor accident out there. That's all it really takes anymore is a minor accident, but all of a sudden you got injuries that are involved and back pain and ongoing injuries and things like that. That's when those lawsuits can start getting north of $1 million. And I guess I don't know exactly what is considered a nuclear verdict versus just, I don't know if there's a dollar amount. Maybe there is, maybe it's over 10 million or something like that is considered a nuclear verdict, but it is becoming quite a big deal in the trucking industry. Okay, nuclear verdicts. We've heard of, there's some big ones out there. There are some, $200, $300, $400 million verdicts out there that are just crippling companies. And for a small company to get a nuclear verdict, to get even a verdict of $100,000, $200,000 will completely wipe that small company out. And so that is one of the big issues that they have with it. And here's the deal. When it comes to lawyers in the trucking industry, lawyers that are going after trucking companies, whether they should or shouldn't, there's some very frivolous lawsuits out there that I've seen. But lawyers that are in the transportation space are very good at what they do. They know exactly what to look for. They know exactly how to get it, and they want it now. Okay, they want it in a very quick fashion, as quick as they possibly can get the courts to move. Now, sometimes that is very slow, but they know exactly what they're looking for, and they know how to get it. And that's where the safety and compliance piece really plays a part in this. If you are a trucking company owner and you have a semi-truck, here's a crazy example that I've seen in the real world. Okay, so this isn't like Sam's going off in the loony bin here. This is actually something I was a part of. We had a truck that got hit. Okay, a car hit the truck. The driver of the car did not have a license. The car itself didn't have insurance in it, but the car hit the truck. The owner or the driver of that car found a lawyer that would represent him. And what happened? That lawyer sued the company I was helping out. And we were completely in the right. We were doing everything we needed to do, but we got hit and we got sued. And I had to provide proof that truck should be there or should have been there at that time, meaning that truck was properly plated. The driver behind the wheel had, a good CDL, a med card, all that stuff. Like, I had to prove that we were innocent. They didn't have to prove a thing. Okay, so that's where safety compliance becomes a part of this. It's like, even if you're just going out and not doing a thing, if you get hit, they're going to want to see, permit books. They're going to want to see driver qualification files. They're going to want to see logs, all that kind of stuff. And if you have one of those that is out of whack, or, you got a driver out there that's got a med card that expired, or your truck didn't have proper insurance, or it didn't have a correct plate or something, these lawyers are looking for anything that they can get their hands on. And if you are found to have something wrong, that lawyer can make the argument that, well, that truck shouldn't have been there. And if that truck wasn't there, my client would not have crashed into him. You call me crazy, but I've seen it. It happens. Okay. So that's why I always preach safety and compliance. Make sure that it is up to date, because you never know when you are going to get hit out there on the road. And if you don't have all this stuff in order, and God forbid you get involved in a fatal accident or a fatal crash, that's where the nuclear verdicts start coming in. If your driver was driving along, minding his own business, someone hits him, and they find out that driver had an expired medical card, someone hits him and they pass away, and the semi driver did not have a valid medical card, that semi truck wasn't plated correctly, you are going to be held responsible for that, because the lawyers are going to play the card of, if they were playing by the rules and they were following the law, they wouldn't have been on the road and my client would be alive. You might call me crazy, but that is what happens. And if you're a small company and you get that verdict of $1 million or $2 million, or all the way up to, like I said, $400 or $500 million, that's what people are concerned about. Those are the nuclear verdicts. That's why it's so important to make sure you're on top of your safety and your compliance. So that was number 2. Number 3, driver shortage. Okay. The persistent lack of qualified drivers remains a critical issue, with an estimated shortage of over 80,000 drivers nationwide, affecting delivery schedules and capacities. Now, this is kind of a hot topic that people will love to debate on, is, do we actually have a driver shortage or not? I am kind of in the camp of, I think we have a good driver shortage. Okay, what do I mean by good? I mean a driver who can pick up and deliver on time, a driver who can pass a drug test, a driver who knows how to work their logbook so that they can use the hours that they have to maximize their drive time. Okay, that's what I mean. A driver that will communicate. Okay, a driver that when they go home for home time, come out when they say they will. That's what I mean by a good driver. One who takes their profession seriously and works at it. And here's the deal. If you're a good driver out there and you know how to work your logbook and you're on time and you communicate, you will make over 6 figures a year if you're running for a company that will run you. Okay, there's some that just don't have the freight. But if you're running for a company that has the freight that can keep you moving, you will make over 6 figures a year if you just do those simple things. So I don't think there's a driver shortage out there. I think there's a good driver shortage out there. So if you want to be a driver, be a good one. Okay. All right. Number 4, driver retention. This is a big one that not a lot of people talk about. But driver retention. Companies struggle to keep experienced drivers, facing high turnover rates that impact operational efficiency and training costs. Here's the deal. Depending on which study you look at, it costs upwards of $8,000 to replace a driver. You know, a driver quits, gets out of the truck. It's going to cost you about $8,000 to put a new driver in that truck. And how do they figure that out? Well, you got the truck payment. You know, very few companies will have a driver ready to go, sitting in the wings. So you have to recruit. You got recruiting costs of either your own recruiter or a third-party recruiter. Meanwhile, the truck is still sitting there. You have to make payments on that. The insurance is most likely still going to be on it. You got maybe a trailer expense in there too. You're probably going to have maintenance costs because that truck probably will need some maintenance issues before you put a new guy in it, detailing, all that stuff. And then getting a new driver to you, so you got the travel costs with that. Then you have the cost of staff to train the new driver before he actually finally gets in the truck. So not only do you have roughly $8,000 roped into this, but you probably have at least 3 weeks before a new driver's in that. Like I said, unless you have a waiting pool of drivers, from recruiting to getting a driver in there, it's going to be at least 3 weeks, okay? Most likely more than that. I've done recruiting, okay? I know this. I know that this is accurate. So driver retention, keep the drivers you got, you know, especially if they're a good driver. There's a lot of stuff where, you know, if it's a good driver, sometimes they kind of get overlooked because, you know, they're good. We don't have to worry about them. But those are the ones that you need to make sure that you keep happy, okay? And if you're a good driver and you know that, don't take advantage of the company and demand stuff. Just know that stay being a good driver, okay? That's my biggest thing. Keep communicating, keep doing all that. And sometimes there is a reminder in there like, hey, you know, I'm doing good. Like, give me a good load. 9 out of 10 times, dispatchers, load planners, they know who the good drivers are, okay? They know who the ones who are communicating. They know who the ones who are easy to work with. They know the ones that will take a crappy load every once in a while because it helps the company, okay? There's a lot of drivers, a lot of really good drivers I know that understand that sometimes you just got to take a bad load. That's just how trucking works. Trust me, as a dispatcher, when I did that, I always told them, like, saying, hey, this is going to be a bad load, but I'm going to the load planner right now. If he didn't already have another load lined up, I'm going to the load planner right now, and we're going to get you a good one out of there because, you know, you scratch our backs, we'll scratch your backs. So if you have a good driver on your staff, on your fleet, make sure that you keep them, okay? Check in with them. Wish them a happy birthday. Every once in a while, send them a $25 gift card to a Love's or a Pilot or something. You know, it doesn't take much, okay? I don't know of any driver out there that requires, you know, love and affection. They just want to be noticed, okay? They just want to feel appreciated. Appreciate your good drivers, okay? That will help with the retention. Number 5, okay? We're at number 5. This directly is safety and compliance because it's a CSA. It's, compliance, safety, and accountability. That's what CSA stands for. Their scores remain a key concern as carriers work to maintain favorable ratings while navigating complex regulatory requirements. Okay, this is a CSA. This is a government program to deem which companies are the safest. This is my wheelhouse. In fact, we'll probably do episodes on the CSA, so I'm not really going to get it too much into it right now. But here's the biggest thing with the CSA that I see amongst carriers and owners is they don't understand it, okay? They don't understand why they get a bad score or how they get out of getting a bad score. You know, all of a sudden they get a letter saying that they're a conditional rating. They don't know what that means. Okay, but they just know that all of a sudden now their insurance premiums have gone up. Some brokers have stopped working with them. That's what they know. So a lot of times they have concerns with CSA because they just don't understand it. And if you're one of those that don't understand the CSA and how to maneuver it and what it all means, that's when you reach out to guys like me, okay? I study the CSA. I know how it works. I can help you out with that. Feel free to reach out to me anytime and we could talk about that. But that is number 5 of the concerns as a CSA. And I guarantee you it's just because a lot of people don't understand it. So educate yourself or bring in guys like me and I'll keep you safe in that. Number 6, safety again, driver distraction. The increasing presence of technology and other distractions on roadways pose significant safety risk for tank truck operators and other motorists. So there's stuff on the road. We all know that. We all have cell phones. Every driver's got a phone because they need it. Dispatchers need to get a hold of them. We got the radios. There's just distraction. For Pete's sakes, I was even the other day driving and one of those electronic billboards caught my attention because it was night and all of a sudden just boom, it was a bright white sign on there, distracted me. We're full of distractions right now. And this is one of the concerns, and it's a safety concern, and how do we make sure that our drivers stay undistracted out there on the road? Now, technology is keeping up or trying to keep up. And, we now have the forward facing or the driver facing cameras, which, the jury's still kind of out on that. If drivers are cool with that, some are, some aren't, again, that's a whole nother podcast episode that we could get into. But we're trying, as safety guys, we're trying to make those trucks as undistractable as we possibly can. But you get a distraction, that's when, the crashes happen. And then that goes right back up to number 2 of the nuclear verdicts. Everyone's afraid of the nuclear verdicts. Everyone's afraid that if they bump into somebody, all of a sudden now they got lingering back pain and neck pain. And now how much is this going to cost? And it's just getting out of hand here. So that's one of the things is how can they make those trucks less distracting? And quite frankly, good luck with that because we're in a distracting time right now. But driver distraction. Number 7, and this ties in with safety as well, insurance costs and insurance availability. Skyrocketing insurance premiums and limited coverage options create substantial financial pressure on carriers, particularly small operations. I was just talking to a good friend of mine the other day. They have 3 trucks, okay? No accidents, no claims, nothing at all. Insurance rates went up. That's just what they do. That's the game it is right now with insurance is that even if you don't have any issues, your rates are going up. My house rates went up. My car rates went, everything with insurance went up. Okay. And that's the way they're going. Or here's the other piece is that some insurance companies are going away. Like they're getting away from the transportation insurance. And so there's just not that availability anymore. And the ones that are left are saying, this is our price, take it or leave it. It's not as competitive as it used to be. And so that's become quite the issue is, can I get insurance and can I afford the insurance? And that's a serious question that a lot of carriers, especially the small ones, have to ask because even as a small carrier, let's say you got 10 trucks, it's probably 10, 12 grand a truck per year. And you got to make a 10% down payment on that at the beginning of the year and maybe have payment plans. Some of them don't do a lot of payment plans, but that is out there. But still, it's at a very expensive cost to do trucking right now. And how if you're not paying attention to your safety, that makes your costs go up too because insurance companies have access to all your CSA data. Okay, they can see how many tickets you got, how many crashes you were in, how many violations you got. They have a very, very thorough report that they can grab, and you can grab it too. It's public information. But they grab that and they take a look at it and go, ooh, this company's not doing very good. And there's some that, it just goes to the underwriters, and they're nameless, faceless people to the carriers. And they don't have to hear a story or anything. They just look at the data that's out there and go, no, yes, no, yeah. That's what they have to do. And so you need to make sure that you maintain your safety and compliance piece so that your insurance doesn't go up more than it needs to or more than it's going to. So a lot of people don't understand the tie in between insurance and safety, but there definitely is one. If your if your safety is out of whack, your insurance is going to be higher. That's just what it is. So if you don't want your insurance to be high, get your safety under control, get your compliance under control, get procedures, get plans in place. And again, if you don't know how to do that, that's why guys like me are around, okay? That's what I do. I can help you with that and hopefully save you insurance costs along the way. All right, that's number 7. Number 8, I'm just going to briefly, battery electronic vehicles. Okay, they're talking about electronic semis out there. They're going to keep talking. I don't see it happening in the near, especially not over the road. I can maybe see some local stuff where you're going out and coming back every day, but I think we are light years away, if we even get to it, of having over the road battery operated electronic semi trucks. Okay, they're too heavy. You have to plug them in too much. They're just not economical. I mean, we don't have the infrastructure in place to do something like that. So, but that's number 8. What's going to happen with electronic vehicles? You got states like California trying to really push some stuff, trying to make regulations on certain amount of electronic semis have to be sold before diesel powered semi. I mean, it gets into a whole deal there. So, number 8 though. Number 9, diesel tech shortage. This is a real deal too. Okay, if you've noticed, it takes sometimes a lot longer to get your stuff fixed because there's just not a lot of diesel techs out there. Okay, it could be a grueling environment. There's a lot of knowledge that has to be in play, and it's a young man's game. Okay, not a lot of 50, 60-year-old guys are still doing diesel tech work, and if they are, they're most likely, the foreman, where they don't have to get underneath the truck and all that kind of stuff every day. So I'm even encouraging my boys, I've got 4 boys. I'm saying, hey, this ain't a bad career, because if you've noticed too, if you go some places, you're paying a lot of money for diesel techs, like over $200 an hour now. So that's a great career if you're thinking about it. It can get you to a lot of places and make you a very good living. So diesel tech shortage, though, that is one of the things that they're concerned about. And then finally, number 10, driver compensation. What are we paying the drivers? How much should we be paying the drivers? Should we do bonuses? Should we do all that? It's kind of up in the air. Companies are trying to recruit good drivers by incentivizing them, giving them good wages, but then the rates just aren't there yet. So the number 10 concern amongst the trucking industry is, how much do we pay the drivers? Do we pay them all in the per mile? Do we pay them salary? Do we throw bonuses in there? I mean, there's a lot of ways to structure a truck driver salary right now, and that's been going around for ages as well. What do we pay? Do we pay more for just dry van, or for reefer versus dry van? Do we pay a ton for flatbed? There's so many different avenues to explore on that one. But that is number 10. What do we pay the drivers? So that's quickly, we just ran through the top 10 concerns for 2024. These are going to stick around, okay? I read a lot every day. I don't see one thing out there that solves everything completely, okay? We're making great strides. We're getting there with some of it, but there's not one thing out there that I see that has completely solved, the driver distraction concern. Like, we got a lot of work to do as an industry. So I'd love to hear your comments, though. What do you think? What's a concern of yours? Maybe it's not even on here, or what do you think could help solve some of this stuff? You can reach out to me, sam@wattsman.com, sam@wattsman.com, or leave a comment below in the video here, and I'd be more than happy to read it. But that is what we got. That is today's show. I'm thankful you guys stuck around this long to watch. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, not even about this, but just trucking in general, safety, compliance, that is what I'm here for, okay? That's why I started Wattsman Diesel House, is so that I can help companies with their safety and compliance and get you on the right track so that you don't have to worry about being out of compliance or anything like that. I want to make sure that this industry stays or gets back to being healthy, stays healthy, and anything I can do to help that, that's what I'm here for. So until next time, make sure that when you are out there on the road, you drive safe.